Do you think that men who are very focused and are strong-willed in their endeavors, do you personally believe like it is good to have like one main chick, I guess you could say, that eventually you can trust because she brings some sort of feminine qualities that help aid in that mission?
Mhm.
Or do you see that men oftentimes like spinning plates or seeing multiple women helps them with like a level head and stuff? Because from my experience, what I've noticed with a lot of entrepreneurs that I've spoken with is that most of them end up gravitating towards either wives or significant LTRs.
Mhm.
And what I've noticed is that guys who are entrepreneurs typically, like if they build some sort of rotation or plates, things like that, a lot of times it can end up causing like confusion and or distraction from their
Mm.
purpose. What's been your experience with the guys that you've talked to?
Yeah, that really depends on the individual, where they live, and what the dating pool looks like, right? So, I think you're right, though. For the most part, most entrepreneurs that I've met, they tend to lean into conventional gender. I don't want to say gender roles. So they lean into conventional type of relationships, marriage, one girl in a long-term relationship, monogamous. There's
Yep.
also this new trend also with a lot of tech guys where, they've read a book like Chris Ryan's Sex at Dawn, and they're like, into ethical non-monogamy and polyandry and all this sort of stuff. But they're not unplugged, right? They're still, for the most part, plugged in betas, and in some cases, it's like two guys with one girl. So it's not, it's not really, like the ideal sort of structure that you'd think that a strong masculine alpha dude would, put himself in. There's also guys that I know, like I've got this follow-up to my first book that I'm working on right now. I'm going to include a story of what I'm going to categorize as an alpha god, where he's basically running a harem of probably 6 or 7 women at any given time. He's got kids with them, doesn't live with them, and he's very successful, business owner. So there's really different ways that your life can be structured, and it's like, well, how do you want to live your life, right? Like, what is it that you want to do, right? And it's like, in the North American scope, unless you're planning on raising children, um, I don't see any point to marriage. And even if you want to raise children, I mean, you really don't need marriage to raise children, like unless it's culturally enforced by family values on both sides and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, there's no real point in living with a woman unless you want to raise kids together,
Mhm.
right? So there's a lot of guys out there that don't want kids, or have already had their kids out of the way and they've been through the divorce machine, and they'll get married a second time, a third time, or they find themselves in, scenarios where, again, they get divorced and they live with a woman, or they invite a single mom into their lives, and he's got 2 kids and she's got 4, and they blend their lives and have like a Brady Bunch sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
And that's usually where a lot of the problems start to, arise. I mean, like the divorce stats in second marriages are just atrocious, man. It's like, 70 or
Yeah.
75% on a second marriage. It's like 80% or more on a third marriage. And it's like, why would you give up half your stuff like 2 or 3 times and potentially be on the hook to pay support for kids that you didn't even father,
Yeah.
and deal with all the fallout of all of that, plus the disrespect and the aggravation and the headaches? And it's like, that's going to take you right off your purpose. I mean, if you want to grind and build a business and have an easy, lucrative, and fun life, why would you invite those complications into your life, right? Most guys just don't know. They don't see it because all they see is, just grind, just on the
Yeah.
business. But they don't want to take the blinders off and like see the larger scope of the world, to see that, guys like this are incredibly smart. Like, they unplugged from corporate lies,
Yep.
and they were like, okay, I don't want to serve that master, I'm going to do this instead. But they have a hard time unplugging from societal narratives and other conventional, societal conventions that plug you into a female first primary social order, that make you serve and bend the knee to a woman, in second and
Right.
third marriages and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually have a theory of why oftentimes you'll see successful men do that, or why oftentimes you'll see them go down that conventional route that complicates their life and they refuse to unplug, so to speak. What my theory is that a successful man, what I've noticed is like he's building, right? And he has like end goals, like brick by brick, kind of, you know what I'm saying? So he has like this thing at the top. And he's basically, my theory is like, as an entrepreneur, as anybody with ambition, is like laying the foundation in their life to create more and more success. I think that oftentimes they look at their relationships with women similarly, where if they
Mhm.
have like, you know, a monogamous LTR or something like that, what I personally believe is they look at it the same way. So they tell themselves like, you know, I shouldn't have to unplug, or I shouldn't have to look at the world a certain way, because since I am on my purpose, therefore, since I'm a builder, or since I'm building towards something, I
Mhm.
think that they apply that same structure where they look at their relationships as something to build on with one specific woman. And then what happens is, since they idolize or pedestalize that one woman for long enough, since that's been their mindset of building and watching the fruits of their labor come about, it's hard for them to accept that it's a different set of rules. And it's also hard for them to accept that today, oftentimes the dating game doesn't work that way. I don't know if that's theory. I don't know if that theory is accurate or not, but that's what I've seen is the hard-nosed entrepreneur, the hard-nosed driver.
Yeah.
Like, he does not want to have something that doesn't have an end goal in mind, or it's hard for him to just accept that this is how things are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say that's reasonably accurate. And I would distill it with the soundbite that I often use. I always say that guys like to complicate their lives and justify why.
Yeah.
So what you just said there really just boils down to that is, I'm going to do these things, and then this is what's going to happen. And then if it doesn't work out, or if it's not going their way, then it's like, well, this is why, sort of thing. So complicate life, justify why. I think that humans in general do it. Men definitely do it a lot.
Yeah.
They love doing it with relationships and the choices they make in their lives of women, money, success, careers, businesses. It happens everywhere. I mean, like, once you start to unplug and you see the code in the matrix, like, you see it happening a lot.
Yeah.